Hi, kitty cats. I am a transgender scientist, and I'm here to take your questions. This is an Ask Me Anything, so let's throw some questions at me. Before I get going on answering questions, I do want to direct your attention to those URLs that are below my face here. One of those, the first one that's up now, says Amethysta.io. That is my homepage. That is my personal website. You can go there to follow me on social media, to find, everything that I'm doing. The next one there goes to genderidentitytoday.com, which is my professional website. That's where I publish all of my podcasts, my articles, my videos, typically. And so you can go there. I also accept contributions. So if you're interested in contributing to Gender Identity Today, by all means, please reach out to me through my personal website. If you want to support me, there is one link here that says that goes to coffee.com. You can leave a tip as you desire, or you can also take out a subscription on genderidentitytoday.com. You can get a subscription for as low as $2 a month, which is pretty cheap. So, all right. The topic today, as I said, is Ask Me Anything. Before I get started on much, I do want to recognize this past Wednesday, hi Genevieve, this past Wednesday was Transgender Day of Remembrance. And the point of Transgender Day of Remembrance is to honor those the members of the transgender community whom we lost through violent death, connected in particular to transphobia. Those that are determined, by somebody that they came from transphobia. So, the reason why I'm bringing this up, I got a few comments over the past few days. I got a few comments. Somebody who said, you only had 30 deaths this year. Only had 30 deaths. I don't know what sort of horror you have to live through to look at 30 violent deaths and shrug, but this person did it. I don't really care who it is that dies here. I'm going to be upset if there are 30 of them. These people here who have already left me mean comments right here about Harris losing or Trump, whatever. I don't even want you to die. So it's pretty ridiculous when somebody would leave me a comment that pretty much just diminishes every single death that we experienced in the past year. It's horrific. So I'm gonna leave it at that. Transgender Day of Remembrance is not a happy time, not a happy period, and I didn't need anybody to make it worse. I had a few people comparing the United States to the Middle East. Hey, it could be worse. Yeah, it could be worse. Very true. That's not the point. The point is death, and it's not cool. So, all right. Who has a question for me? Because I'd love to answer something great. I also would love to make Hilda a moderator. And yet again, I'm looking at this, even using Edge, Chromium-based browser, and geez, I'm still not finding a way to click on you and make you a mod, Hilda. I feel ridiculous. I don't know how to make this work, but geez. All right, so let's see. Here is somebody who says, hi, my daughter identified as a boy since age 3. We have always treated him as a boy since. I will tell you, thank you so much, first of all, for bringing that up. Identified as a boy since age 3. You have honored your child, which is more than many parents can say, more than you can say for many parents. So I honor you. Thank you for doing that. It's somewhat of an interesting name here, so I'm not gonna read it because I'm not really sure what it means. But somebody who says that their daughter identified as a boy. So good on you. Good on you. Many parents are afraid to do that because they think that they're encouraging. I'm not really sure what they think they're encouraging. All that they're encouraging is, a child to explore the person they are. which is what they ought to do. Hi, Nix. Thank you for following. It's pretty ridiculous. Like, I mean, I have a son, and, when my son has said, oh, I'd like to do, whatever, I don't even care, just wanted to play the oboe, we were like, okay, play the oboe. Because that's what you do. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to, help your children become the people that they're going to become. So, hi, Helen Camille. Good morning to you. I'm trying to figure out what this says. So I see, who fast grow the breast, I waiting to come. I'm sorry, Michael. I'm not understanding. I wish I could do that, or say something about that. Okay, let's see. So you're asking me if. So the same person who supports her transgender son is wondering if someone who transitions at a much later age can truly get the experience of being the opposite gender if they didn't grow up as that gender. Gosh, so this is a really super good question. I did not transition until I was 52. So that's 2 years ago. It's only been 2 years that I actually started transition. And so to answer your question, like, quickly, I would still say yes. Even if you transition at a later age, you can still get the experience of being the opposite gender. The way that thank you, by the way, congratulations, says that the person with a transgender son says congratulations. So I appreciate that. I think that you can. When I grew up with 3 sisters, all right, and my father was somewhat absent, but as a result, I got a very feminine upbringing. And if you treat your transgender son as a son, there's no doubt there are going to be some people who might look at you a little funny, but I think that he will be able to get at least an adequate understanding of what it is to be a boy. Because I believe very strongly that I didn't have a whole lot of trouble learning what it meant to be a girl. Because I watched it happen. I watched my sisters. I watched, everything that went on around me. And the thing is, we notice a whole lot more, I think, than we really know we notice. I'm trying to figure out how to say that. There are things, you can see somebody walking down the street. You cannot see, they're wearing a big coat. It doesn't make a difference. You can tell from the way they walk, from the way they stand, what gender that person is. There are many, many subtle cues that we don't necessarily notice consciously, but they're huge. They mean a lot to their what am I trying to say? Their perception, the perception of gender. So I do believe so. I believe if your son is treated as a boy, is treated the way that he would like to be, then definitely he will get a sense of what it means to be a boy. So hopefully that got you. Good, you said that makes sense. All right, so Nix says, my doctor told my parents they have to use my preferred name and pronouns for my mental health. Gosh, I wish we had more doctors like that. Really? I think that's amazing. Good on you. Congratulations. I don't think that there is anything bigger for a child, personally. This is my opinion. I don't think there's anything bigger for a child than to grow up with a parent who supports them. Like, that's amazing. My parents were not remarkably supportive of who I was when I was a kid, certainly. And I'm glad that you can have that experience, Nix. Very, very happy that you can have that, because it's so funny. Even just like calling somebody he or she, whatever the preferred pronoun is, makes a huge difference. In fact, actually, I'll tell you a quick story. Here's my quick story. So here you go. Your mom is, so Nix says, forgive me, Nix, I'm going to take a guess. I'm going to say they. So Nix says their mom is trying, their dad said there's no way in hell he's doing that. Wow, gosh, Dad, come on. That's a bummer. So I was going to say, here's a story. I just went to Costco, like nothing big, okay? Thank you, Nix, okay. So I went to Costco the other day, and we're walking along through, and my wife and I, somebody turns and looks at us and says, oh, hey, girls, would you like to try some chai? And I don't know that I've ever been part of like a group that somebody just said, girls. And I thought it was cool. It meant so much that somebody turned around and saw me. it makes a huge difference. And maybe, if your father understood, Nix, if your father understood how much that would complete you, maybe he'd get it. Maybe he would. I don't know. Something to bring up. Maybe, hey, point him to me, right? Why not? All right, so let's see. Hey, Louise. Oh, Louise Richardson came in and said, hey, thanks for posting my interview. She shared it with friends. There were a lot of good comments on that, Louise. So thank you so much for that. All right. Lee Dexter has asked the question, and this is a great question as well. Says, can an intersex also be transgender? So now I'm going to give you some science. Okay, I told you, I'm a scientist. Let's talk some science. Intersex has to do with genetics. It ends up, and genetics is ultimately what expresses as biochemistry, and because it expresses as biochemistry, can also express as physical structure. So it can turn into primary and secondary sex characteristics. It can turn into many things. Fat distribution, etc. Those characteristics, many of those characteristics are determined by hormonal balance, whether you have more estrogen in your bloodstream or whether you have more testosterone in your bloodstream. So that is what defines somebody who is intersex, or you could also call that a apparently I can't call it that, a DSD, which is a difference in sex development. So these intersex characteristics. Now, this isn't just outwardly presenting physical primary sex characteristics. There are over 1,200 identified intersex characteristics, and many of these are just endocrinological. So it changes the sensitivity of your biochemistry to hormones. So now let me go back to your question. You said, can an intersex, I think you're saying, can an intersex person also be transgender? So I talked about genetics, but gender, physicality is only one aspect of gender, which also encompasses our cognition, our thoughts, and our emotions. It also encompasses our behavior, which, the way that we present ourselves to the world. So it's when you talk about genetics versus gender, they're two different things that we're talking about. In which case, can an intersex person also be transgender? I will say here, yes, because the two are not related, first of all. And I actually happen to be one. I have an intersex characteristic, which is a partial androgen insensitivity syndrome. So yeah, I'm living proof, as they say. Hopefully that was good enough for you, Lee. If you have follow-up questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat here. So let's see. I'm looking. We've got so let's see, a couple of people who are trying to dump on me. That's lovely. Let me see. Am I looking at something? Is this what you want? Oh, is this what you do when you don't want to get a real job? Well, I had a real job. I actually worked in technology for 25 years. I got up to the executive management level in technology companies. So it's not that I didn't want to get a real job, but I had a real job long enough that now I can do this and try to educate people who want to come into my live streams and shit on me. So thanks a lot. Who knows? All right, let me see. I've got, somebody says, and has a whole book about it. So Skeet, I'm not really sure I don't see anything else about it. I'm not really sure about the whole book. So hopefully you can explain that to me. So clicky ankle. Ouch. Oh, I hope that you get that looked at, clicky ankle. All right. Do I think it's possible there's more intersex? I'm gonna take a guess on this. So clicky ankle, correct me if I'm wrong. Is your question, do I think it's possible there are more intersex people than are obvious? The quick answer is yes. Like I said, over 1,200. Do I think? Yes. Okay. So clicky ankle says, sorry, do I think there's more intersex people than we think? The quick answer is yes. When I said that there are over 1,200 intersex characteristics that have been identified, most of those are not outwardly observable. I only found out about my own intersex characteristic because I started taking estrogen therapy, and we checked my testosterone levels and went, wow, those are really high testosterone lessons. Who would have thought? So in any event, I would never have been detected as somebody with intersex characteristics. Right now, the best guess is that about 1 in 200 births are present at least one intersex characteristic. I'm saying at least one because, like I said, there are many, and the point of that is to say that 1 in 200, that's a 0.5%, and maybe you go, well, that's not that much, is it? There are some, I wish I could remember the number. It was like 13 million births a day, something like that. Maybe it was more than that. If you work out the 0.5% of that, it's like 40,000 people a day are born with at least one intersex characteristic. There are likely to be more if we were to play the probability game, like you do in genetics, which, is a lot of what genetics is about, the probability game. If you play that, the chances are good that there are more intersex people than we're capable of detecting because we just don't do comprehensive genetic testing on everybody who gets born. That's probably good because I think that would end up leading to some weird, fascist state. And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, who knows what happens next year. But presumably, the estimate of 1 in 200 is a little low. So yes, I would guess that there are more intersex people born, and we just don't even know. So, all right, I've got... Okay, so sorry, I've got so Mikhail Broden has now said, okay, we need to go to the psychiatrist for all the gender-affirming care that you go. So Mikhail has asked how fast breasts go. I'm going to start calling you a she here, if you don't mind. Then, if you want to give me a better name there than what I've been using, go ahead. It truly depends upon the person. First of all, your personal genetics make a tremendous difference. I've known people who have been on hormone replacement therapy for many years and have pulled off about an A cup or a B cup if they were lucky. I started getting breast growth about 2 weeks in, but again, like I said, I have an androgen insensitivity, and so my body took very quickly to estrogen. So I started growing breasts pretty quickly, and I grew a decent amount. I also ended up getting some augmentation surgery this past summer. So, I'm bigger than I was, although more than half of this was natural. So the typical time frame that you're looking at here, the typical time frame is 6 to 9 months before breast bud development begins. And so hopefully that gives you a sense of the timing there. So, and hopefully it answers your question. So, all right. Jessica says, I played a lot of sport growing up. Started in individual sports, then moved over to team sports in my preteens. I played in a tennis tournament. 1 week, I was asked to play in the girls' side. So, Jessica, you are assigned female at birth, or are you transgender? Because, so you were asked to play in the girls' side. I'm afraid I'm unsure where we're going with that one. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to look at some TikTok questions here. Let's see. So we got that. Here we go. So Nix has mentioned that he doesn't know how to explain what I said, which is to say that your father would complete you if you said, oh, okay, thank you, Jessica. So Nix doesn't know how to explain to his father that if he used the proper pronouns, it would make Nix feel better, because Nix is omniromantic and asexual. So it's a good question, Nix. I don't know. So I have something. Let's see. So do guest speakers on the live? Honestly, I don't know how to do that. Somebody who says has a question about gender, but it's long-winded. If you can send it in a TikTok message to me, you could try that. But I'd love to answer it if I can. Damien, hi, I'm seeing you. Damien says, hey, Hope you're having a good day. Can't stay long, but love and light. Hopefully you get to see this, Damien. All right, let's see. Let's see. So Damien says my girlfriend bloomed very quickly when she switched to estrogen. So there you go. There's another person's experience there. That breast development occurred pretty quick. Oh gosh, 2 weeks. Actually, Damien says his girlfriend. Forgive me, Damien. I don't. They. I think. If I got it wrong, please tell me. But 2 weeks got breast bud development, so that's cool. All right, let's see. We suspected she may be intersex. Quite right. Oh, good. He, him. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Hey, Madison. Madison says, how am I? I'm all right. I hope you are too. All right, let's see. So somebody has also said sending love from Minnesota. Assigned woman. I'm not really sure where that's going, but we'll let it go. Oh, thank you, because you are sending love. So thank you so much. All right. So Jessica says that she was assigned male at birth, transgender woman, was asked to play on the girls' side in a tennis tournament once. That's kind of cool. I would be interested in hearing how that went. Like, did anybody get spooked by you? Because that's sort of a big, it's a big, huge thing that's going on these days. Transgender women in sports. And at this point, somebody asked you. Isn't that fascinating? Because, we have a lot of people who want to outlaw that. So I'm curious, like, how that ended up working. So, all right, let me see. So Bobby Bamlet, first of all, hi, Bobby. Bobby says, been on hormones since January 23. Just started 100 milligrams of progesterone this October. Oh, fantastic. So Bobby's saying has not experienced any physical changes. Or wait, you have or you have not? I think it's haven't. So is there any evidence that I will see over an extended period? So I'll tell you this, Bobby. When I first started hormone therapy, it seems like I changed pretty quickly over 3 months, 4 months. Like, I'm a little unsure how long it took. And after that, the changes seem to get more subtle to me. But if I look back even, because I mentioned I got surgery, I got gender affirming surgery this past July. So it's only been not quite 5 months. And I was having lunch with a friend of mine literally yesterday. And she looked at me and she goes, oh my gosh, your face has changed so much after the surgery. So it's interesting. I think we go through, I don't want to call them cycles, but it seems like we go through, as it's a general upward trend, the speed increases and slows down. I don't know exactly why that is. I'm not sure if any of us is completely aware why that necessarily is, but it seems like it kind of speeds up and slows down. And then sometimes you're going to go into the bathroom just to, wash your hands and something and look in the mirror and go, oh, holy cats, look at how much I changed. And when you do that, by the way, like any time that happened to me, because it did 3 or 4 times over the past, 2.5 years, I walk in there and I just sit there and look at myself in the mirror going, wow, oh my gosh, I had no idea. Look at that. I'm seeing myself. And I think that is the hugest point when you see yourself. You just go, my life has become complete. So there you go. But congratulations so much. So January 23, that's awesome. I'm glad. So you're running up on 2 years. That's sweet. All right. So Jessica says, just starting her transition, doing your research. Oh gosh. Okay. Just about to start. All right. Live in the UK. Going to tell you too. Living in the UK is difficult, so I don't know if you're asking the question, should you go to NHS or should you go private? I would recommend, if you can afford it, that you do go private, because it takes, this is my own opinion coming at you here, it takes decent monitoring to make sure that you reach the levels that you need, I turned out, so I don't, in the UK you tend to use picomoles, so it's a actual concentration, so it'd be, picomoles in the bloodstream. In the US, we tend to use, for estradiol anyway, we tend to use picograms per milliliter, I believe it was, is the unit. Like, not like it makes a difference, but the point is that in those units, generally you're looking anywhere between about 100 to 1,000, and what worked really well for me was 350. But there are people who need closer to like 500 before they see really significant changes. So what I'm trying to say is, if you can go private, you could probably get your blood tested more quickly, and that might help. So I don't know if that was a question or not, but I would certainly say, it's something to consider. So, all right, let me see what I got over here. So first of all, Helen Camille says, has quoted me saying, I see myself, that made me so happy when I'm able to go and look in a mirror and say, I see myself, because there's no describing it. When somebody treats you as the person you are, it's life changing. It's life altering. It's a huge thing. So, all right. So Damien, I don't know if Damien's still here, but Damien, there's a whole lot of things that just came up. Damien has also said, going to point your girlfriend my way. Oh, I'd love that. Yeah. If Damien, if your girlfriend wants to talk, that'd be awesome. So, all right. Nix has said, I'm scared for our new president because I don't know what's going to happen as a trans gay kid. I'm going to tell you, I don't know. I prefer not to talk about politics. I certainly don't want to express my opinions on people in particular. So, the day after the election, I put out a message that said, this is not a time for despair. This is a time for hope. And I'm going to stand by that. It looks dark, and sometimes when it's the worst, that's when, we can all come together. I think about, I don't know how many of you may remember this, but I remember on September 12th, 2001, so the day after the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center, not only did the whole country come together, the whole world came together and said, we need to figure out what we're doing here. And I'm not going to say that we reached an appropriate conclusion, but I believe when things are at their worst, that's when humanity shines its brightest. Is that an answer to what you're saying? I don't think so. I have a little bit of fear, and I'm going to wait and see what to respond to, as opposed to paralyze myself with fear by not, when I don't know what's really going to happen. So, all right. Somebody says, nice hair. It looks like that one Wojak. Forgive me. I don't know who that is, but let me see. All right. So, I know more than you, says Jesus, man. There's the whole lesson. But he does know more than you. So there you go. All right. Jamie says, love you, sweetie. You look so happy. Heck yeah. Are you kidding me? It's the best years of my life. Believe me. Oh my gosh, isn't that cute? Look. So this person who's making fun of me with the hair also says, asks if I'm Jewish. Can't help but notice the nose. You're cute. That's so nice. All right. Let's see. What else do we have here? Danny says, DNA doesn't lie. That's for damn true, isn't it, Danny? Do you know what DNA does? Do you know how DNA actually operates? Do you know the way that you end up developing primary sex characteristics? Because it certainly isn't simply XX and XY. So there you are. If you wanted more definition on that, perhaps you can ask. But all right, let's see. Madison says, trans healthcare is so magic, literally changes and saves lives. Look, absolutely saved mine. Abso-frickin-lutely saved mine. No doubt there. Because, I was not doing well 3 years ago. And today I feel great. I'm so happy. I've, saved my life. Absolutely. So let's see. What else do we have here? Danny has said DNA doesn't lie again. Okay, apparently repetition makes it true. All right, let's see. What? I don't know what that meant. All right, Milwaukee is having a name change clinic. Oh, dang, really? Milwaukee is having a name change clinic. Hey, by the way, I know somebody who, the director of the Colorado name change project, and she is phenomenal. If you ever, if ever anybody ever has questions about that, I kind of recommended. I believe it's conamechangeproject.org. She's phenomenal, but gonna run with that. Okay, let me see. What else do we have here? Can't believe the hateful people in the comments. Jamie, this is pretty straightforward, pretty normal. Let's see. All right, I'm going to move over to YouTube because I can't even figure out what some of these people are saying. All right, let's see. Tatiana's Wings says, I enjoy your program very much. Well, thank you, Tatiana. That means a ton to me. I am 60 plus and wonder about HRT. Also, I am on a T blocker. For prostate and have gained weight. If estrogen is not problematic, should you lose weight first? Oh, Dana Slebo. Dana, well, I'm just going to say Dana. I'm sorry, Dana. I don't want to mispronounce your last name. Just saying hi, you look great. Thank you, Dana. Thank you so much. Love my content. Thank you. All right, back to Tatiana. Should you lose weight first? Now, I may not know how much weight you have now. I will say this: if you were planning on getting surgeries, synthetic estradiol has the tendency to there's an interaction, I believe, with an anesthetic or an anesthesia, excuse me, in general anesthesia that can bring with it the cause an increased risk of blood clots during surgery. And I bring this up because when I went to go get surgery, they had me off my estradiol for a little bit longer because my BMI was higher than they wanted. So it will never hurt to lose weight because it will help your biochemistry operate more efficiently as well. So I definitely would recommend it if you can. If you can. And sometimes that's hard. When I got on estrogen, I also put on, I'd have to ask somebody else, but probably 20 pounds, I'd guess, 10 kilograms. I would guess I put on that much weight. Some of that, for what it's worth, is that I think I was more content. And being more content, I was less, this is my opinion, again, I guess I could ask friends and family, but I was more content, and I think I was better at sort of letting things happen. I used to have to go for a run. I used to love to run a lot, long distance running. And I would have to go for runs to get frustration out, because I'm not really sure what to call it. Frustration, anger, to get that out. I would have to really wear myself out in order just sort of to survive at the end of it. But once I went on hormone therapy, I was okay. And what was crazy too is that I would go, I should go out for a run. I haven't gone out for a run, for a week. And then I was like, nah, I'm cool. It sort of surprised me because I thought, not only would I need to work some of that out, but I was also surprised that I had some equanimity about it. That was a surprising thing, very surprising thing. So anyway, Tatiana, I don't know if that answered all of your questions. If it didn't, please feel free to reach out or ask me more. So, Madison, your question here, Madison asks the question, are there moderators? Otherwise, let's just report the hateful comments. Yeah, please go ahead and report the hateful comments. There's no reason to see them. Are there moderators? I keep on trying to figure out how to do this, and I had Matt Adland and Frybird as mods for TikTok, and dang if neither of them came up, right? That's hilarious. So, all right, let me see. Lady Pagan says nothing's going to happen to you. Get over it. I guess I'm not sure to whom you're addressing that, but I will definitely say there are some people here who are, get upset about people like I am. Because here we go. Here's somebody who's saying, we all know the statistics for y'all. Trump doesn't even have to do anything. Yeah? What are the statistics? Who even knows? Anyway, somebody says, want an evil hex placed on Lady Pagan's soul? Oh boy. All right, let's see. Why do so many religious... Okay, so G'day from PA. I like that. I'm going to have to say it again. G'day from PA asks, why do many religious people hate talking about intersex people? I have a thought on this because I think this is a great question. I think that religious people hate talking about intersex people, and I don't, forgive me, somebody here I'm sure will tell me the verse, but there is a verse in Genesis that says, at least in modern translation, there's a verse in Genesis that translates as male and female, God created them. I believe something like that. Forgive me, I don't have it handy, but it's somewhere in Genesis. And so religious people have gone, well, see, look at that. It says right there, there's only male and female. You can't have intersex people. Like, Genesis now has apparently excluded the possibility that genetics doesn't work as exactly as Moses was purported to have written these words 4,000 years ago. Now, if you're saying to yourself, that sounds kind of probable that like Moses didn't know this about genetics 4,000 years ago. Yeah, doesn't it? That being said, this is also a translation because the first five books of the Bible, who are also of course in the New Old Testament. Let me try this again. Those first five books of the Old Testament are part of the Torah as well. So this is Jewish. This is also Jewish scripture. And they actually are allegorical for Kabbalistic practices. So these have been turned into a historical story, but do not have to do with necessarily what it is they're trying to say. So I think that's the reason. If you go to a religious person and you say, listen, I'm a geneticist, and you go, it's not XXXY, it's the way genetics works because that's how genetics works. Yeah, they're going to be a little bit pissed off about it because now you're calling their scripture wrong. Or at the very least, you're calling their scripture unscientific. Now, I don't know another religion that would call its scripture scientific other than Abrahamic religions, who also demand that their scripture is historical. But there you are. So I don't know. Hopefully that answered the question. Good day from PA. All right. Madison says, you love my name. Thank you so much. Is there a shorter nickname for it that I like? Yes. Usually I go by Amy. So it's AMI is how I write that, which I think is kind of fun. I thought it was fun. The other thing too, Sailor Mercury. I'm a big Sailor Moon fan. And Sailor Mercury's regular name, I don't know how you put that, is Amy. Translated as Amy, so it's cool. So that's why I use that. Or let's see, Ava here says hello. Hello. Says, I'm a trans woman interested in the philosophy of gender. Thank you. I love talking about the philosophy of gender. And an interesting, thing here, many people use Judith Butler's work in women's studies and certainly gender studies. Judith Butler is a philosopher. Interesting little tidbit. Butler studied under, I'm going to get his name wrong, Michel Foucault, I believe, a social constructionist philosopher. That was their graduate advisor. So an interesting tidbit. Shelley B says, I'm a woman. Oh, dang. I don't see Shelley B still here, but oh, hey, Matt Adland. Hi. Matt, you're a mod, so go at it. So Shelley B says, I'm a woman, but I just turned 60, thinking about using HRT. Shelley, I don't know if you're saying transgender woman. Okay, you also said you're afraid. You're afraid thinking about using HRT. I'm going to repeat something that I said earlier. HRT has changed my life and it has saved my life. I believe it was Madison who said that very well above in the chat there. It has saved my life. If you can get it, please do, because I think your life will improve. I don't even think. I am fairly confident your life will improve. And that is well worth it. So hopefully, Shelly, you get this, you get that message. If not, hopefully somebody will pass it on. So let me look. Let me see. So now I'm looking at YouTube again. Tatiana says, "Oh, it's perfect. Redouble your efforts." Gender transition is a great motivator. So first, I'm reading Tatiana's comment. It says, "Transitioning is a great motivator for diet and exercise, sleep and hydration. I call it DESH. Dash. Yeah, it's totally true. When I started transition, let me change that. Now that I am here, 2 years in, 2.5 years in, I have a desire to take better care of my body, much, much more than I did. I would go out for runs, and I needed to do that because, well, I needed to, because I was just so pent up. But now I want to go exercise because I want to care for this person I've turned into, because it's just so amazing. It's just so wonderful. And if you, it will help, knowing that you're doing something for yourself is a huge thing. So definitely. Louise mentions she wishes she could lose some weight a lifetime after transitioning. Yeah, don't we all? Right? All right. So let's see. Here's a neat statistic. About regret rates. Tatiana brings up there is a less than 1% regret rate for gender affirming care. Over and over. That's true. I have seen large studies and I've seen smaller studies. The largest one that I know of is about 40,000 people, I believe it was, that just completed last year. Yeah, I believe last year, 2023. It had some 40,000 respondents. It was a little bit higher regret rate, 3%. But you point out this is much less than childbirth or even getting a tattoo. That's true. It is. Tattoos, it's funny, tattoos have something like a 25% regret rate, which is kind of comic when it comes down to it. I don't know about childbirth, but yeah, gender affirming care has consistently shown a much smaller regret rate than almost every medical care. Like maybe aspirin has a lower regret rate, but almost any medical care, has a higher regret rate than gender affirming care. So Jessica Walton points out she is a cis woman creeping around on here to learn stuff and add some positive engagement. Jessica, that means so much to me. Thank you. Truly appreciate that. Bobby Bamlet has said, first month on HRT for me was T blockers and a month later estrogen. Ooh, there you go. Oh my gosh. She says in the first couple of weeks she lost 20 pounds. Oh, in muscle. Oh. Yeah, I got like no strength. At this point, it was funny. We carry, we have a stove, a wood burning stove. I swear I'm getting this point out. We have a wood burning stove, and so we're like pulling things in, bringing in wood from the outside, and when it got dropped off, we had like 2 cords of whatever, to stack, and it just kicked my ass. There's very little strength left, but I would much rather have less strength and have to build it back up like we're doing, because we go to the gym and lift weights. And I would rather have to build it back up and be happy with who I am than have more strength and be miserable. So run with that. Take that where you will. All right, let me see. Dana. Oh, Dana. Okay, so Dana is a trans woman. Main thing to remember, always very small steps. I agree with you. So Dana started growing long hair, planning to remove body hair, I'm assuming, then can start thinking HRT, one step at a time. Very true. A point I will make about this, and this is a little bit, forgive me, this is a little bit of a commercial. Run with me on this, please. Part of what I do as a gender coach is putting together that project plan, because it's really super hard, and you don't think of all the things that you'll want to do. Excuse me. You don't think of all the things you'll want to do, and then you don't think of all the things that it affects. And that's not necessarily a plug to come pay me. If you want to do it. But the point is that there are a lot of ripples that go through your life when you start transition. And I mean, I have spoken to many people who are like, where do I even start? And I love this, Dana, that you say you started growing your hair out, you started thinking about body hair removal, then you're thinking about HRT. You've got a plan, and that's important. Just to take any step. Because like when I first started this whole thing in 2022, beginning of 2022, one of the first things I did was paint my toenails. It seems so minor now. I'm like, yeah, painted toenails. It's been like that for almost 3 years. Whoopty shit. But it was a huge thing because it was like, I am asserting who I am. And I took a step. I mean, I just put a period there. That's huge. When you get there, when you take that first step, it is like, you know, it's jumping off a cliff, but it's also realizing you've got this big, massive parachute. And, you know, it was great. So Dana, thank you so much for that advice. Very, very, very good. Let's see. Helen Camille says, glad Jessica's here. Hope the dread some of us are feeling in the U.S. will bring us together and continue to fight for progress, love, compassion, and joy. Oh, gosh, I hope so too. Let's see where it goes, you know? Grief Foundation says, regret depends on how you measure it and which cohort you are looking at. National Transgender Survey 2015 showed 13% detransition rates. No, not detransition rates. Possibly sense of regret, not detransition. So this says here, so now Grief Foundation also says that regret rates is the old cohort. The most interesting group we know very little about, those are transition late 2010s onward. So Grief Foundation is coming out with a whole ton of statistics here, none of which I completely agree with. You know, if you can cite your source, that'd be great. I do agree regret depends on how you measure it. For the most part, when you look at studies, and these are great, when you look at studies, generally what you let me try this again. If you were to ask me how much better my life got, I can't quantify it. What I can do is I can say that gender affirming care had a positive effect on my life. But I don't have a number. And many people in the sciences, which is somewhat funny because here I am in the sciences, but many people in the sciences say, well, the data is no good unless it's a number. In fact, if you look at the Cass report and if you look at a study that Johns Hopkins University did in the late 1960s into the 1970s, you will find that they tried to quantify things. And almost universally, as Dana, I think it was Tatiana, said above, almost universally, people feel better. And then science will try to find ways to make it look as if we do not feel better. And that's why that happens. I guess I don't know. I think ultimately it turns into a political football, but there is no doubt, you know, of the running on probably 200 transgender people I've personally interviewed or talked to, less than 1% is true in terms of regret rate. So Grief Foundation, again, if you can cite your source, that'd be great. You are now saying studies coming out of the UK are showing 30 to 40% drop off within 5 years. I'm going to tell you, I don't know a detransitioner out of 200. I have not been able to interview a detransitioner because they tend to be very private. So I don't know where these figures come from. Is it all truth? Who knows? But Louise brings up the point that in the 70s we didn't have hormone blockers. Do you mean like puberty blockers, or do you mean like the anti-androgens, Louise? I'm curious on that. Oh, okay, sorry. They existed, but they were used for other things. Yeah, right. Precocious puberty is one of those things, you know, that it was used for. Children who developed came into sexual maturity too quickly. Those are those same drugs. So those same medications. So let me see. Tatiana says NIH report of those who had detransitioned, 82.5% reported at least one external driving factor. Thank you for bringing this up, Tatiana, because there are people who will detransition. Most of the people who detransition, if they do, as Tatiana said, do so because of external pressure. And that's typically you have somebody, a parent, or you have a loved one who says, I don't want you to do this, and so people stop. An interesting statistic would be if that person stopped, did the person start again? Because I think that would be a fascinating statistic. If the person started again, did it happen? Did that relationship fall apart? I mean, why did this person start again? Because I have known people who started and stopped and started and stopped. I mean, as many as 3 or 4 times, because it's hard to transition gender. Like that's all I can say. Some people regret the way that they start being perceived by society. You know, an interesting little tidbit here is that if you start, a major diet program, that's another, some people regret that because all of a sudden they're perceived differently. They're held to different standards. If you join a religion, sometimes people regret that because now you're perceived differently. You have a different social environment. Grief Foundation wants to tell us this sucks. Don't go do gender transition because if you do, you're going to be unhappy. But the thing is that when you start asserting the person you are, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't join a religion, I'm not saying you shouldn't do whatever, lose weight, whatever. What I'm saying is that when you change yourself, there is no doubt that you will be perceived differently, period. And some people don't like that. So, all right. Let me see. So Shelly B says, oh my gosh, that's a terrible thing to say and you're a Trump supporter. You were afraid? It was a terrible thing to say you were afraid and you're a Trump supporter? I don't know. Oh, actually, sorry, hang on. Shelly was saying you have an issue with the sports aspect. Sorry, I wish I could have. I wish I could have seen some of this and I didn't. Let me see. So MAGA, who knows? Says, what is a woman? What is a woman? What a phenomenal question. What is a woman? Because what I'd love to do is have somebody answer the question for me as well. Because if I give you an answer, if I prove you wrong in a scientific way, because $10 says this person would end up saying it is somebody with an XX genotype, and that's demonstrably wrong, then you can see somebody here is saying, pretend world, pretend worlds. Really? I mean, is genetics pretend? The thing is that the world exists the way we observe it. And if you want to look at the world and say, no, the world needs to be as you want to perceive it, you're not a scientist. What you are is you're a control freak who's going to end up pissed off at everybody because nothing's going to go the way you want it to go. Alice says, hey girl, hey. All right. I'm a cat says, which makes dysphoria quite difficult. Like, what's life after? So I don't. I think I missed a part of this. I'm a cat, but I'm going to run with this. So, dysphoria I think is really, really super difficult to deal with. Life after transition is, just phenomenal. Like I can't tell you anything more. Life after transition is a 180. A 180 in terms of my ability to handle my emotions, to handle life. And I mean, if anybody who would say, listen, it's a bummer, that your life is easier to handle, is that somebody who loves humanity? I'm not going to go, I don't think so. I keep seeing a joke, and this comes up occasionally, where religious people say, The effects of gender affirming care are permanent. And it's like, well, yeah, but I'm happy. I'm capable of loving life. I'm capable of doing what I can in my life. Like, yeah, I want that to be permanent. I don't want that to end. Like, is that supposed to be a deterrent? Hey, watch out, you're going to be happy. You're going to be able to handle your life. And that might be permanent. So, watch out. Okay. Fuck, I hope so. Alice says, you love the triple goddess. You and me, Alice. Way to go. All right, so Matt Adland has said, I think regarding Grief Foundation statistics, no large sample-sized study has ever shown a rate higher than 8%. And those that show that high of a rate tend to define it loosely. Yeah. Such that regular boy moding would be considered detransition. Yeah, I'm with you on that, Matt. I'm surprised 8%. I'd love to see that source as well. I had not seen that one. But yeah, when, I cited another study, of course, for the life of me, I'm not going to be able to pull the name of it, but it finished in 2023, about 40,000 respondents. I've got a link. I could find it, but I don't think anybody wants to watch me, tool around my little note system. So let's see. What do we got? Oh, thank you, Matt. You can dig up some refs. Do it. Jacob Thomas Lamb is apparently making fun of the word study. Oh. Well, is it just, should we just use your opinion? I'm not sure exactly what you're trying to say there, Jacob Thomas Lamb. Let me see. Back to YouTube here. Okay, so Grief Foundation now says, Tatiana, it's just how important transition was to them. One creator detransitioned because her local clinic stopped offering hormones, wasn't interested enough to find a clinic further away. There are people who do that, and I think I just said gender transition's very difficult. You get perceived differently. Look at all these people who are coming into this into my TikTok chat, and dumping on me. Thank you, Matt, by the way, for just, getting rid of them. Go you. It's hard. People hate me for becoming happy. Wow. Really? Where's the love part in that? I don't know. Louise says, I would say you should definitely transition if you feel you can't live your life otherwise. If you just sort of think it's something to do, maybe you should stay as you are. I would... Oh, here you go. See, look, here's somebody right here. Kang Shi, who has repeated not just once, but 9 times that I should go die. Thanks. Appreciate that. So, I agree with Louise. Maybe if you think it's something just to try, you should stay as you are, maybe. But I would say exploration is always good. I would say explore what you can. Always explore, because otherwise you're not going to know. I don't think it means that gender affirming care is a failure because somebody starts it and goes, oh, I got enough. I mean, there are many children who do that, who start getting some sort of gender affirming care and end up saying, no, I'm sorry, I'm okay. I didn't realize I would be, but I'm okay. And that's held up as like a failure of gender affirming care. Not at all like pointing to people like I am for whom gender affirming care has been life-saving. So, all right, here we go. I'm a Cat has asked, this is a great question, so I'm going to say this. Matt, no apologies, please. I'm a Cat says, did I find after transitioning that I was able to stop focusing on being trans consciously, if that makes sense? It does make sense. I'll tell you, this is a strange thing, all right? Because I mentioned earlier we were walking through just Costco, and I heard the word, somebody called my wife and me girls, and it meant so much to me. When I was younger, my hair was much longer. I used to have like waist-length dyed black hair, not purple, and no bangs. But when it was longer and I lived in Georgia for graduate school, I would get called ma'am frequently. And I always went, oh, I don't think those people were doing it to be nice. In fact, I'm pretty dang certain. But I liked it. So does it allow me to stop focusing on being trans? What transition has allowed me to do is focus on being who I am It allows me to feel. It allows me to feel present. It allows me to feel conscious of my life. It allows me to live much more in the moment. And then, so here's the next part of it. So I feel comfortable. And then at the same time, when I get called ma'am, when I get called miss is even better. Because I'm like, how old do you think I am? Come on. When somebody uses my appropriate pronouns, I love it. So I focus on that more. So it's like two directions here. Yes, I've stopped focusing on the sense of pain, but I certainly focus on the sense of euphoria. And I don't know, is that the same as being transgender? I think when I was focusing on the dysphoria, that's the worst part, I think that's the worst part. The euphoria, I definitely focus on the euphoria. So here we go. I like this. Matt Adland has said, aren't bangs standard issue with the transitioning starter pack? Oh my God. It took me like a year and a half to take the plunge to get bangs. And even then, hopefully Ashley's not here. But my stylist, Ashley, she goes, okay, let's see. She kind of combs them into place and she goes, okay, can you close your eyes? And I go, okay, sure. And then she cuts and I go, whoa, why did you ask me to close my eyes? Were you just doing this, to spook me? And she goes, no, aren't we doing the bangs? And I went, I guess we are now. And then I went, oh, it looks good. So cool. Good on that. But she sort of made the choice for me, which was good because after now a little more than a year with bangs, I like them. So I'm going to run with it. All right. Let me see. So going back over to YouTube, Tatiana's Wing says people usually but not always align their gender with their biological sex, just as orientation is generally but not always heterosexual. I think, Tatiana, this, and I'm going out on a little bit of a limb here, not that big of a limb. I believe much of the reason that occurs, that people usually but not always align their gender with the parts that are on their body, same with their sexuality, comes more from social norms than actual exploration of who these people are. The purpose of a social environment, I've thought about this recently. The purpose of a social environment is to reinforce its norms. There's really no other purpose for a group to have social norms unless it's going to reinforce those. Right now, the social norms of the day, at least in Western society, is that if you are born with an externally presenting, excuse me there, I burped. If you are born and you have an externally presenting penis, you should like women and you should identify as a man. But I'm saying should. These are social norms. If you go back not even that far in history, you will find cultures in which that wasn't the case, where it was people grew up and they were prized for what they did, who they were. Not, and I'm saying who they were, not what they looked like, not necessarily what they identified as. They were prized for who they were. And people who fell outside of sexuality and gender norms were prized, revered. They were the oracles and the healers. So it's an interesting thought. We're saying usually but not always align their gender with their biological sex. And it's crazy that it's because we reinforce that, ultimately. So, and I love this. Louise just said, and of course, 93% of all statistics are just made up. I'll agree. I know I did it. All right, let me go back. So I'm a Cat gave me a couple of other comments on this. Let me see. There's yeah, Matt, I'm 29. Thanks, bro. So let's see. Oh, I'm a Cat says started the Biggie about 6 weeks ago and feel so much more present and satisfied. Wow. So 6 weeks ago, yeah, I would say within 2 to 4 weeks, my cognition improved. Like I had more clarity in my thoughts. fewer emotional outbreaks. I'm going to need to take a drink here. And so I thought that was super cool. It was just from taking hormones. My psychologist asked me the question, said, what do you think, what do you think it is? Is it just hormones? And, being the kind of person who thinks about biochemistry, I was like, probably some, because your body, obviously, we know very well when there are men who have too much testosterone, they tend to get ragey. Women experience emotional fluctuations as their menstrual cycle goes on. Like, we've observed this. So I thought, yeah, it's probable the hormone balance shifting has changed my biochemistry, my neurochemistry in particular. But I also think that it was similar to what it was when I first put on toenail polish. I was doing something for myself and I went, gosh, how great this is that I can care for myself and love myself. And I'm saying that in particular because I've been looking at your next comment, I'm a cat, and saying part of my overthinking is if some of it is selfish. Are you taking anything away from others? No. An interesting little bit I'm going to tell you here. My same psychologist, by the way, my psychologist said to me that, because it was before I'd made the decision actually to transition. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought a little bit, but I was thinking about, transitioning, but I said I couldn't. And my psychologist said to me, why can't you? And I said, because I have a son. My son needs a man for a father. And she said, well, really what he needs is somebody who is authentic. And when you are authentic, when you are true to yourself, you're capable of sharing yourself authentically. And ultimately, my opinion, it's not selfish to be who you are because it actually gives more to others. If others get upset by it, it's because they don't want you to be that person. And I don't know if that's because they don't want you to be happy. They just want you to be what they want you to be. I don't know. But I believe it makes sense to support somebody in being who they know they are. So hopefully that all of that, made sense and was sensical at all. Siren says, hi, purple-haired bestie. That's me. How are you doing? Hydration is important. Yeah, by all means. Make sure to drink that. All right. Oh, yes. So I'm a cat says within a week, she was more stable in her emotional processing. So totally true. All right. Let me see what we got here. Going back over to YouTube. So let's see. Grief Foundation says, to clarify, I support trans people and transition, which, by the way, Grief Foundation, I know. I'm refuting some of the things you say, largely because, we've had some back and forth on YouTube, I know. I think I owe you a response, by the way. I think I have one that's been sitting there that I'm like, ooh, dang, I should probably respond to that. But so Grief Foundation says, to clarify, I support trans people and transition, especially for folk like Amethysta. Data, however, is data, and the primary area of concern is teen females, suspected locus of detransitioners. So hopefully, I'm sorry, I don't actually know your name. So I'll say, so Grief, I did mention earlier, I think that when people explore, it's good for them. And a lot of the best place, ultimately, to explore is early to late teens, right? Because you have no responsibilities, you have no, you probably don't have a job, maybe don't have a job. That's a great time to explore. And we'll say again what I said before. If you start exploring and you go, gee, I'd really like to be, you mentioned teen females. If you would like, if a teen female says, gee, maybe I want to be a boy, tries it out and realizes, okay, no, I don't. That's not a failure of gender affirming care. What that is a success of gender exploration. Because that person may not have known. And if that person is now, say, in her 50s and says, oh gosh, maybe I want to be a boy, it's much more disruptive. Like, you absolutely want teenagers to explore their gender, because if they don't, I mean, they don't get to learn who they are. And we only learn who we are by trying things on. Do I like playing, the oboe? Do I want to cut my hair short? Well, try them and find out. Who knows? You need the experience to find out. So, I mean, when you say Grief Foundation, when you say 13.1 detransition rate, I don't know if that's the teen females we're talking about, which again, I will call a success of gender exploration. Period. So, analysis of Nashville Transgender Survey 2015. Okay, so thank you for the Jack Turbin et al. Analysis of Nashville Transgender Survey 2015. So thank you, Grief Foundation, for citing said your source there. All right. Let me see. I'm going to go, oh, well, somebody has asked me what's my PhD in. My PhD is in analytical chemistry. In particular, I specialized in semiconductor structure and surface electronics. There you go. All right, let me see. I'm not sure. So Matt, you're saying somebody paid for her student loans and her GAC. I'm curious if you're talking about me, because I know for a fact ain't nobody paid for my gender affirming care. Every single nickel I've had to I've actually paid for, because that's just insurance for you, right? So, all right, here we go. Religion and gender. So forgive me if I say this wrong. Ruki Sautomi, I hope. Ruki, hopefully I said it right. If I didn't, I apologize. Religion and gender has a lot of complications. What do I call a non-binary supreme being? There is a, in Hinduism, there is the consciousness of the universe. That would be a supreme being. And it is non-binary. It's an it. I mean, truly an it, because the it of the universe, the supreme being, has aspects. And those aspects are only actions, not an aspect of the supreme being, but just as the supreme being acts. And those types of actions are characterized as masculine and feminine, but the actor is not. So the term that's used in Hinduism is Brahman, is how that's is the supreme being. So what do you call a non-binary supreme being? I would just say the universe. In my mind, that's what the universe is. The universe is a big, massive consciousness that that differentiates into masculine and feminine actions, and those actions end up being carried out by people like us. It's really Western society. In fact, it's really humanity. How about if I just say humanity, that has tried to characterize people, put people into boxes. It's comfortable when people are in boxes. I'm going to take a quick diversion. Hi, Cassandra Brooks. Hey. Okay, Ryuki. Okay, Ryuki Saotomi. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ryuki. So I don't know. Hopefully that grabbed, that said something to you. Ryuki is a transgender. Oh gosh, so non-binary to. Okay, so XTF, demigirl, she, her, or they, we, them. 40 years old. You are a complicated person. I would love to have a chat with you, an actual real chat with you, if you want to reach out to me. I think it would be fascinating. I know we've talked a little bit on YouTube. I didn't realize that was all of your background. Super cool. All right, let's see. Tatiana, I'm sorry. When you're saying use the wrong term, there's no apology. You're saying biological sex and gender are fixed, but on different scales. Yeah, absolutely. Let me see. What else do we have here? I'm getting ready, I think, to cut this off. Oh, wow. I'm trying to figure out how even to say all this. I'm a cat. So I've got SW/HWE. There you go. Oh no, wait, is this supposed to be? Wait, I'm not really sure what that says. I'm hopefully I didn't screw that up, and I'm just gonna let it go. Hey, Cassandra, saying again. There was another thing that I wanted to follow up on. Here we go. So Dana has said, and I love this, software and hardware engineer. I'm getting it. There you go. Software and hardware engineer. So, I'm a cat. I was in software for 25 years. For some reason, there's a ton of transgender people in technology. It's a lot of fun. It's cool. So let me see. So Dana says religious folks who are seriously producing anti-LGBTQ propaganda are completely clueless about what the word of the Bible is all about. I cannot disagree. It's seriously simple hate speech promoting politics, period. I'm going to say yes, certainly now. I've talked a bunch about translations, the translations when you use, because we'll have friends, anti-LGBTQ people say we're forcing them to change language, and at the same time they use language against us. They're taking the Bible and saying, well, this is the word of God, and then translate it so that it suits the purposes of humanity. Well, purposes of Christians, that particular church. Aren't they the same thing? If we're going to talk about language, let's talk about, how language can be used hatefully as well as lovingly. So, all right, I'm going to move down a little bit. What do we got? So, Dana asks, as you transitioned, if you had a partner, how did your partner accept the transition? I love this question. Listen, as you see, I'm like getting myself back into a comfortable position. So Dana also says she has a life partner and she is having an extremely hard time to accept. She thinks I'm in a mirage crisis. So midlife crisis. So first of all, Dana, I'm going to say I'm sorry. Like that's a terrible place. That's a terrible place to be. I will certainly say. My wife knew about me being transgender from our very first date, which was in 2000, April 20th, 2000. It was before 420 was a thing, right? But she's known since then, and she has supported me in this the whole way. And I don't know if you're out there listening, hun, but if you are, I will reiterate, thank you for pushing me to be the person I am. Dana, I hope you get that. I hope your partner realizes the extent of the changes that can occur, that you will become a happier person, because there's just no comparison to how I was a few years ago. So, let me see. Hunter Campbell, I don't know if you care this much. What was my chemistry Ph.D. dissertation on? The title of it was fabrication, modification, and characterization of semiconductor surfaces. I started off in ultra-high vacuum instruments doing, cadmium selenide compound semiconductors on a gold crystal surface. So the structure when you underpotentially deposit cadmium selenide onto a gold surface and then characterize the structure there. So that was the first thing I worked on. I later worked on zinc oxide phosphors, chemically modifying the surface of that to determine whether or not I could affect surface level damping of radiative recombination so that you can make a better TV set. There you go. Speaking of software and hardware, there you go. I'm a cat. All right. Oh, there you go. Yeah, what's funny? Here's a great point. Look up Sophie Wilson, everybody who's hating. She invented the ARM chip you're typing on. Good point. So, all right. See you later. Worked on zinc oxides. All right. Apparently, does that make me funny? Zinc oxide? I didn't think it was that funny. All right. Jessica Mason has an incredible, oh my gosh. So my wife just dropped a comment there that she says, you're welcome, and then sent a little kiss. The best part of the live stream right here. All right. So Jessica Mason makes an exceptional point. Area of concern is teen females. So she is quoting Grief Foundation up at the top here. Quoting area of concern is teen females reveals a lot. Do we not trust teen girls? Why are we more concerned with teen girls than teen boys? Jessica, I want to move it even further than that. Ooh, Dr. Laura Schlesinger just showed up, apparently. Maybe it's a different Dr. Laura. But hi, Dr. Laura. Do we not trust teen girls? Are we more concerned with teen girls and teen boys? I think that's an exceptional question. But it's not even just teen people. It's not just teenagers. Because when I first started, I was, before I even went to Thailand, I started doing like a daily, here's what's going on today as I'm getting ready to go off to Thailand to get gender affirming surgery. And I had people saying, listen, you should really think about this. Are you sure about this? You should really take some time, maybe take a year and think about this. And I'm like, I'm 52. I spent a lot of time thinking about this. In fact, I spent a lot of time thinking about this as a teenager, and a lot of time thinking about it as a graduate student in my 20s, and a lot of time thinking about this as an adult in my 30s, and then less so in my 40s because I was really kind of loopy. How much time do I need to think about this? At what point can I be trusted to tell you who I am? And that person's answer was pretty much never, because I know better than you. I know that you are a man, and I know that you're going to be happy as a man. And I'm like, oh, I tried it. It didn't work. I mean, I tried it really hard. I really worked at it. 52 years. Like, if that isn't long enough to work at it, holy cats, what do you want of me? So I agree with you, Jessica Mason. Do we not trust teen girls? We don't trust teen girls. We don't trust teen boys. We don't trust anybody who goes outside of social norms. Why? Because again, I'm going to throw out here. So Phoebe G has said it's all about control. Oh, so true. I will go back and say my original point about a social environment's purpose is to reinforce the social norms. That's it. People fear you when you say, I'm not going to conform to social norms. Because when you don't conform to social norms, you threaten the system, which is good because, if we didn't threaten the system in some way, we wouldn't have like computers and stuff. We wouldn't, if what we did was just go, hey, we're here on this planet and we're just going to take what it's about. I'm not going to make a wheel. We're not going to have bullock carts. We're not going to do X, Y, and Z. It's like, yeah, we need those people who push things further. We need them. So here we go. I don't know if Hunter Campbell, I told you everything. Zachary Lucas again has asked, what is a woman? Once again, I think nobody is going to tell me flat out. If they do, $10 says they're going to rely on genetics that do not explain much. Let me see. What do we got? Zinc is a humorous material. It is, right? Zinc? It's a fun time. Zinc is humorous. What I think I'll do for future live streams is I'll get myself a piece of zinc. Oh, what's that thing I have? Oh no, it's nickel. I have a dendritic nickel shebanger. When I worked at a place that would electroplate. I worked at a where they made rocket engines. So I worked at Rocketdyne in Canoga Park, California, and when they were making RS-27 engines, I think it was something that was on Atlas rockets. It's really not that important, but they would electroplate nickel onto it. So it was like these tubes, and they would make these tubes so that it made a nozzle, so it came in, and so things would go supersonic, kabang, things in space. Where is I going? Oh yeah, so nickel plating. They would put nickel plating on it, and that was how the nozzle was made. And I have this cool dendritic piece of nickel that's really fun. I've got it somewhere. I don't know where, but it's not zinc. And the problem, I guess, is that it's nickel, and nickel's not that funny. Only zinc is, apparently. So Matt says, legit heard a funny story involving zinc recently. I would have loved. Oh, you can't tell it on TikTok. Ugh. Yeah, see, look, now there's hate in the comments. Who needs nickel? Boo for nickel. Jeez. All right. Yeah, Jessica. Yeah, I've had an interesting career. Rocket engine test data analysis, chemistry was my education, biology, my earlier education. I also worked at an esports tournament company. So it was like college students playing, Xbox football. That was another thing I did. It's a good time. Oh, I also worked in telecommunications. I worked on a smart grid system. No, actually, I didn't do the smart grid. I did. There's a word for it. Like when there were exceptions, it was testing for exceptions across the network to find what was going on. If there were funky things going on in the outage. That's what it was. An outage detection system. Thank you, Helen. About says good comment about trusting teen girls. Let me see. Ooh, I'm curious. Look up what effect high zinc levels in the blood can have on an AMAB. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it here. Let's see. So M. Steelmon says, that's funny. After 10 years in the field, a judge will deem you an expert in that field, but after 50 years living, we don't know what the hell we're talking about. Yeah, 10 years. Right? What's the bit? I'm trying to remember the guy's name, but 1,000 hours of practice makes you a master, right? Something like that. But 50 years. Now, I don't know anything. Who the hell could I be, right? Nobody should trust me. All right, let me see. Bladestar. Oh, hi, Bladestar. I saw you earlier. Says, hi, I'm a new girl. Glad I can catch the stream. Listen, not as glad as I am. Thank you so much for showing up. All right. It is 2:27. I'm getting ready to shut this down. I'm going to tell you, Matt and Frybird, thanks so much for moderating on TikTok. What a tremendous difference that made. Zoinks. I mean, I had no idea. Everybody who's on YouTube, I've got Tatiana, I've got Ryuki, I've got Dana, a couple of Jessicas, Helen Camille, M. Steelmon, and Bladestar. If I missed you, Louise, Genevieve, thank you so much to everybody. I love doing these things, and I don't know exactly why. I feel like all I do is come out here and prattle, and I just want to say thank you so much to everybody for all of your support, because for what it's worth, I'm a new person, having been able to transition and being able to show you the person I am means a tremendous amount to me. So oh my gosh, thank you so much. Oh, Dr. Laura, yeah, I hope you are able to catch another. It's always 1 p.m. on 1 p.m. Mountain Time on Saturdays. I'm always going to be here. There you go. So I also want to say thank you to I'm a Cat, who left me a huge gift. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that. Matt, thank you for the gift. Good goddess. I'm overwhelmed. Thank you so much. Love to all of you. There you go. Bye.